Right. Ever wondered why I think each and every 24 hours you lose your skin cells, right? You lose your skin cells, but you still have skin. Your skin hasn't depleted from losing all of those skin cells. Those types of questions. It brings me to the cell cycle. The cell cycle. Basically how your cells replicate and make new cells in the body, similar to your skin cells, right? Now the whole cell cycle, as we know it, is divided into three parts, which is your interface, which is the phase that the cell spends most of its time in, and then the mitotic phase, which is called mitosis, and then your cytokinesis. This is going to be the part of your cell where basically it splits into two identical cells, right? So that's the whole cell cycle. But obviously we know that in our bodies we have two types of cells. Your somatic cells. So basically those are all your body cells, basically all your body cells. Cells that make up your liver, that make up your brain, that make up your bones. Those are your somatic cells, your body cells. And those are the cells that are going to be basically are going to undergo a type of division in the cell cycle called mitosis. Those are your body cells. And then we have your sex cells. Your sex cells are called your gametes. Remember this from grade 9, you have sex cells. So your gametes, unlike your somatic cells, gametes undergo a very different type of division in the cell cycle. They undergo something called meiosis. Then your sex cells undergo meiosis, and your body cells undergo mitosis. Now the difference between the two is that in mitosis you have that at the end of mitosis you have the mother cell and the daughter cell, so two identical cells, genetically identical cells. And then in meiosis you're gonna have four cells in total at the end of meiosis, and then the resulting cells will have half the number of chromosomes. Basically, for example, what do I mean by that? In a normal human being we have 46 chromosomes, right? By the end of mitosis we'll have two cells that still have 46 chromosomes, but by the end of meiosis we'll have four cells that each have half the number of the original chromosomes in body cells. So basically it will be 23 chromosomes in each cell at the end of meiosis. So meiosis, you continue with it and you'll do it in detail in grade 12. What we're focusing now is mitosis and the whole cell cycle. Great. Now, what happens during the cell cycle? As I've said earlier, in interphase, that's where your cell spends most of its time. Now, the interface of a cell can easily be partitioned into growth 1, G1 stage, the synthesis stage, and G2 stage. During these G1 and G2, the cell is growing and performing its normal functions, and then what is this S phase? Basically, it synthesizes a copy of its DNA. This is when a cell will make a copy of its DNA in preparation for what? In preparation for mitosis. So a bulk of the whole cell cycle is taken up by interphase, the longest phase in the whole cell cycle. Then great. Now let's look at a cell in interphase. I'm going to attempt to draw a cell in interphase, and let's look at how it would look like. So obviously we have your cell and we still have your nucleus and your nuclear membrane. So we still have a visible clear nuclear membrane that is still in interphase. And then we're also going to have a visible nucleolus. right? Remember, what does the nucleolus have? It has your RNA. Then inside your cell, we will still have your, I'm going to use red for that one. You still have your DNA, and it will look like threads, basically your DNA. What do we call this type of DNA? We call it chromatin network. Your chromatin network. Your chromatin network. This is basically a cell in this phase. So it will have your chromatin network. Towards the end of interphase, you're going to see this chromatin network now, this unorganized form of chromosomes. This unorganized form of chromosomes, they're going to start coiling up, winding up to become more visible as it enters mitosis. And then we have your centrosomes. Right next to the nucleus. So these are what we call centrosomes. Good. So this is a cell in interphase. Nothing special about it at this point. Now it's about to go into mitosis. And what's going to happen in mitosis? We're gonna get into it. But before that, I want us to discuss, why is mitosis important? The importance of mitosis. Before we enter it, the importance of mitosis. So the importance of mitosis is the following. Number one, when your cells die, they need to be replaced. When they are damaged, they need to be replaced. Or repaired. The importance of mitosis is basically to replace and repair old, worn out cells, right? Then number two, for reproduction. What do we mean reproduction? Let's look at it this way. Remember, we have unicellular organisms. Unicellular organisms such as your prokaryotes, your bacteria, for example. Bacteria don't usually reproduce asexually. Asexual reproduction. They have asexual reproduction. Basically, they make a copy of themselves. Since they are one cell, they are unicellular organism. So they produce asexually through a process called binary fission. So that's how they reproduce. So that's why this is important for reproduction in organisms, right? Good. Then the third one will be for growth. At some point after fertilization, you were just one cell, one little cell. And then that cell divided into two cells. And then there was more. Through the process of mitosis, you became more cells, until your cells became differentiated. And then they assumed a particular function, for example, forming different tissues. So it is used for growth. And from you being an infant up until you are the adult that you are, or almost the adult that you are right now, it is through mitosis, because your cells are replicating. Good. So that is the importance of mitosis in a nutshell. Now, in the next video, I want to quickly go through all the phases of mitosis, and then that will be it.